people play. It's just the games people play.
Welcome to the Off the Wall Show on intellectualradio.com. I am your host, Lady Magnificent. And to my left, I have two, Debonair, multi-talented, and they happen to be even matching today. What is that about? No one include me, and then we all got to wear gray today.
It's on your head.
But
See, and, yeah.
but I have JB3.
Hey y'all, what's
How
going on?
are you?
I'm good. I feel great because it's a small world. Let's just say that.
Super small.
It's a small world. We have gotten on here for the second time that you have brought a guest on here, and I have known them from a whole nother life. Okay, I mean, me and this man right here, we used to hoop back in the day. This dude.
Well, who exactly is the man right here? Because we haven't introduced him.
All right,
Would
so
you like to introduce
I
yourself?
would
Who
love
are
to.
you?
How you doing out there in TV land and radio land? My name is Chitunda Tillman Sr., and I'm the original author of the feature film John Q.
Yes, sir. That John Q show movie was all about this man right here, man. Look, if y'all like that movie, thank him for it. For real.
So let's just jump right into it because I've known Mr. Tillman from high school.
Tone.
So,
That's right. True that.
so we went to high school together. So this is like a huge family reunion, right? We got going on right about now.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about why you're here.
Well,
What brings you to the Off the Wall show?
first of all, I want to thank you for having me on your show. Thank you guys. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
Definitely.
So let me just jump right in by saying that I want to thank you know all of my childhood friends from Barton, Clara
Right.
Barton Elementary, and Bogan High School, and Chicago State University. I think that that's where I got my foundation from and my strength. And so the reason why I'm here is I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. If you guys have ever seen the feature film John Q starring Denzel Washington, you're welcome. No,
On the
just
real.
kidding. But no, for real.
So before we get into that,
Yes,
let's
talk
let's
to me.
start let's start with the what motivated you to even start writing.
Okay. It's just God. It's the Most High. I'm not taking credit. I just love writing. I mean, even as a child, I used to read a lot of books and used to always imagine, what I could be for my life, for my future. What my goals and aspirations and dreams were. I always just had that passion to write. And what happened with the John Q piece is, my child was ill in the hospital, of course, and we didn't have insurance at the time, and so it was very tumultuous. It was difficult, and just looking back on it, it was trying.
So how long ago was that though?
This was almost 20 years ago,
Okay.
and so
Wow.
I had. I was going through the experience, and it was very painful. And I said, in this country, in this great country that we call America, why am I struggling for health insurance? And I work every day, 2 jobs, as a matter of fact. And so I was, begging the hospital to do the surgery with no insurance. I was trying to raise money and things of that nature. So while I was in the hospital going through it, I started to write because I didn't want to take it to the next level, if you
Mhm.
will. I
Right.
did not want to,
It was giving you peace.
yes, I
Okay.
did not want to be negative or aggressive, and project that anger in a way where it manifested in the wrong
Where
way.
you end up in
So
jail.
Right.
basically, so I wrote the script, and I actually wrote it while I was in the hospital going through the ordeal, just taking notes. And then I said, I have something here. So God gave me the vision to copyright it, to copyright the screenplay. And after that, I became a member of the Writers Guild in California through Literary Works and paying the dues and the fees or whatever. And we had a conference in the year of '98, and I specifically told them when they asked me, they said, who do you want to star you in the film? I said Denzel or Cuba. I mean, those are the top two African American actors in the world.
Indeed.
Right, at that
So
time,
at
yeah.
the time, and even right now, they still popping.
Yeah.
So I said, I want either one of those two. And they said, sure, Mr. Tillman, we love the script,
But who said that? Who said that?
the
they
Writers
wanted-
Guild.
Okay.
And they said, we love the script, I told them who I want to star in it. And then after they finished using me for the information, I didn't hear anything else after that. The rest of 98, the rest of the year.
Wow. And you said this
So
was 98?
this is 98. So I said, okay. So I began to continue to write, develop other inventions and other books. I've written about 3 books. We'll get to that later. But so my passion is writing. So I just continue to write. And in around 2002, John Q came out in the theaters.
So let me ask you, what was your
Are
reaction?
you sitting down?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we all
What,
said that.
what was your
Okay.
reaction when you
Yeah.
seen the trailer?
Wait, that's the best part. When you go back and look, there was never a trailer for John Q.
You know what? You're right. You're
It
right.
just came
It
out.
just
It
came out in
came
the
out of
theaters.
blue. It sure did. Now that I think about it, yeah, because if you go to the theaters, you see like little trailers
Trailers,
early.
upcoming attractions,
This just came out the
it just
blue.
popped up out of nowhere.
So they didn't want you to know because you would
Exactly.
have been able to stop the
I could have
release.
got an injunction. And so what happened was one of my buddies, Trey, was like, "Hey, Tune, you need to go see this movie, John Q."
So the title alone didn't.
No, it didn't. It
It
didn't.
didn't
It didn't.
register
It
that
didn't
it was
register with me.
okay.
And so, mind you, the movie had already run its course through the theaters. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it. It was at the Dollar Show. And I don't want to tell my age,
The dollar
but it was
show.
at the Dollar Show on 87th and Harlem
Oh yeah.
by Lindy's.
Oh, and
Chili.
that's how long it's been out. Cause
Oh,
you
and
know,
Lindy's for that shout out. I'm gonna have to get some
Some.
kind of compensation, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway,
conversation for
so
another
my
day.
buddy says, "Hey, Tune, you need to go and see John Q, starring Denzel." And as soon as he said Denzel, my heart just started beating. So I go to the Dollar Show with my 2 small children at the time, and we watching a movie. And my son says, you know, excuse me, he was like, "Dad, ain't that us?"
Sorry, bro.
And right then I knew it was mine, and I was just like,
So your son knew that
mhm.
he's looking like that. Looks like what
He
happened.
was a kid, and he was like, "Damn, did that happen to us?" And I just,
And you just sitting there in amazement.
excuse me. So, so,
Take your time. Take your time.
so, so we watched the movie. We got there early in the morning. Excuse me. We got there early in the morning,
Hmm.
like about maybe 10:30 or 11, and we watched it about 7 times in a row. I was not getting up out of that seat unless it was to take them to the washroom. I could not believe it. So I'm watching the movie. I know what the scenes are. I can kind of follow along with the dialogue. And so it kind of knocked the wind out of me. So for that first couple of months, I just took a step back just to absorb it. Like, really. Like, this was one of those moments where you see your life flash before your eyes on the big screen and no acknowledgement, no credit, and definitely no
No money.
financial compensation.
Hmm.
When I'm the one that originated the idea for the script, it was my thoughts, my original life story, written down, copywritten, submitted to them. It took me back. And so what I had to do was, take a step back, and then I got to work. I began to do research on all of the individuals involved. Come to find out, this white guy, and I'm no respecter person. Let me just establish that because God made us all as equal.
Hmm.
I don't care what your race, religion, or nationality is. I'm just speaking in fact right now. And the reality is, a white guy got credit for John Q. And if you saw John Q was about an all black family.
Hmm.
So I asked the judge, I said, Your Honor, his name, the judge in the case was Judge Connelly in the district court. I asked the judge, I said, Your Honor, how did a white man get credit for writing about an all black experience? And then you testify in court that it's original to you. The judge just totally ignored that. I
Wow.
said, Your Honor, but I'll get to that part in a minute. So as a moviegoer, when I as the original author, I do the research. A white guy got credit for writing John Q when it wasn't original to him. He swore he copyrighted the movie John Q in 1993, but the actual copyright was issued in 2000. My copyright was issued and created in 1998. So right there we had a problem. So I hired some lawyers out of New York. One of the lawyers was here in Chicago. They flew out. They met with me. They took me to the W Hotel. Tried to wine and dine me and said you got a fantastic case. Mind you, it's a 3-year statute of limitation.
Mm.
So I had to be honest with my lawyers and say, this is when I found out about it. You got 3 years from the date you found out to take action. So in 2004, my lawyers was going back and forth with Time Warner over the residuals, the royalties, the money, the financial piece.
Mm-hmm.
But part of my settlement agreement, I said I want credit. You're not gonna steal my. Excuse me.
Then
You're not
We
gonna.
got you.
Sorry,
That was frustration.
You're not gonna steal my work.
and they don't give you
Make
credit.
$500 million off of it and not acknowledge my
That it was you.
creative
Written
spark.
by.
Written by, because that could have opened up doors for me
you.
where I could have been on my third or fourth film.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the success of John Q. Why hasn't Kearns, the alleged writer for John Q, why hasn't he written another script since John Q? Since that movie made him.
Since he's so creative.
Since he's so creative, exactly. So mind you, they stole my work, didn't compensate me. So my lawyers was negotiating with Time Warner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm a grown ass man. I graduated from Claire Barton Elementary School in the heart of Inglewood, West Inglewood. I went to Bogan High School where foolishness was not tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
That school made me, and I'm humble and I'm grateful for that experience. I had fantastic mentors and teachers. And so basically I'm from the streets. And so you can't address a real man like that. Time Warner, people are afraid of Time Warner because they got $1 trillion. But I looked at it like I'm from Chicago.
Right. I don't care how much money you got.
And I put my pants on like you put your pants on. And you're not gonna take nothing from me without me fighting for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my mentality the whole way.
How long was the fight?
It was almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
About a 10-year battle.
Don't say
Oh, excuse me.
Oh.
See, that's you. Not me. 10-year battle. But basically, we go to court. My lawyers tried to jam me up before the date of the filing. Now, let me show you how God worked the Most High. They tried to string me along with the negotiation with the Rule 11 letters back and forth between plaintiff and defendant. They tried to push me a day past the 3-year statute of limitations. The movie came out February 15th, 02. I didn't find out till almost 03, which means I had a small window to take action.
Right.
So they had played games and tried to get me that 1 day past the statute of limitations. But let me show you how God worked. I was already concurrently planning, writing a brief, just in case something like that would happen. Now, this is the evidence that Time Warner provided me that James Kearns wrote John Q in 1993. They tried to create an article to predate my copyright. To say, oh, no, yeah, you copyrighted this in 98, yeah, but we got this article over here from 1993. The problem is the article that they gave me was from a website, Variety.com. That's the only printout that they gave me, other than this other one that I'm gonna talk about later.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But Variety.com wasn't created until 1996. So my question to the lawyer was, how do you give me an article from 93 from a website, and the website itself wasn't created till 96? So I knew I was being screwed.
Right.
So I filed my case as a pro se without an attorney February 14th, the day before the statute of limitations ran out. That ain't nothing but God. I'm not a lawyer. So we go to court, we fighting for a couple months, and then I hire a new attorney, which I'll get to later. But the bottom line is, the people that I sued was Time Warner, New Line Cinema, James Kearns, the Writers Guild, Hollywood Reporter, Daily Variety. Not Hollywood Reporter, excuse me, Daily Variety, but they was a part of the suit. And what I find interesting is that Denzel is supposed to be this stand-up guy, and I have nothing against him. But the reality is you capitalized off my pain and suffering. You made almost $60 million. And so that's why I had to sue him and bring him into the case. But I had nothing against him. So his lawyer and my lawyer met to say, well, Mr. Tillman, Denzel want to be let out the case. What is it going to take to let him out the case? I had a meeting with my lawyer, and the lawyers met. My lawyer comes back to me and says, well, Mr. Tillman, this is what it is. What do you think? I said, cool, let him out. Whatever transpired, I never saw a dime of that. Denzel gets out of the case. My personal feeling is, number one, you made over $50 million off my pain and suffering. And just man to man, I expected you to sit me down and say, hey, young brother, even as a mentor, and say, hey, young brother, I had nothing to do with that, but I did eat off your pain and suffering. So I'm gonna break bread with you. That never happened. So, I have nothing but respect and admiration for him, but at the same time, just like I had to pay my dues, you got to pay your dues. And the judges screwed me around. The judge in my case said, you know what, Mr. Tillman, even though your copyright predates Time Warner's copyright, the copyright doesn't matter in this particular case.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? What do you mean?
Isn't that like the most important?
That's point
absolutely
of this whole.
That's the most important thing is when you write something so that
What do you
it
mean it
protects
doesn't matter?
That's absolutely the most important thing, guys. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. He said the date on the copyright doesn't matter in this particular case.
Well, why did
What do
he
you
say
mean in this
that?
particular case? Because it's your particular case?
Yes.
So the rules changed because it
The
was
rules
you.
changed. And it kind of reminds me of when Bush v. Gore, when the Supreme Court stepped in and said, well, we're going to change the law about the Chads. And then in 48 hours, it's going to revert back to the old law. But don't get me started on that. But anyway, so I spent a lot of capital fighting them because it wasn't about money to me. It's about respect to me.
Right.
I don't care if you made $1 or 500 million that you made. You stole something from me that I endured, my family endured, and you're gonna have to atone for that.
They profited off of your
My
family's
pain and suffering.
Yeah, I mean, they know your story, and I'm pretty sure that they believed your story, but they could at least give you some kind of, like you said, compensation to say, hey, look, man, we're sorry. We know you're in a bind. I mean, they made millions of dollars.
500 million.
$500 million? And they can't give you five.
Listen to me.
Come on, man.
Domestically, John Q made 325 million to date from that movie. And I didn't tell you this part. Nothing happened until after 1998. Now I know you guys heard it. The company Evolution.
Yes.
Well, Evolution was founded with my script. Evolution was the first film. John Q was the first film Evolution made in 1998.
Wow.
Don't take my word for it. It's in my book. My book is called The Nose of Men, The Yes of God. And you can find a copy of this book at www.therealjohnq.com. www.therealjohnq.com. Now, what I find interesting is that the people that started Evolution, Owen Coolez and the other guy name escaped me right now, but and Mark Berg, they started Evolution after they had my script. My script kickstarted that company, and from that they made. I know you guys saw Set It Off with Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They made a host of other films,
Right.
so I should get a taste of that too, because
Right.
it was not a library of films from Evolution without John Q. And now let me go deeper. In the court of law, and I'm not an attorney, a fool will only represent himself. But at the same time, I'm a man first. And if I can't find adequate representation, am I going to continue to let somebody steal and take from me, or am I going to fight back? I choose to fight back. That's what I learned at Barton Elementary, Bogan High School, and Chicago State. But see, and unfortunately, and I'm not speaking about everyone, but the system is set up to destroy the black man. They want to keep us ignorant and confused. Why did I have 3 judges in my case?
So you're getting different things from different places. So this judge is saying one thing, and they're doing that to throw all of this at you to confuse you.
There you
on
go. There
purpose
you go.
because I've never seen a case where there was more than one
I have
judge.
not either in my whole life. I haven't even seen it on SVU. By the
Court
way,
shows.
and I'm gonna need a check for that too, guys. But anyway, but no. Now I want to show you something. In order to survive summary judgment, because I won on the merits of my case, if you look at the case, but they conspired against me, and I know that people throw that word conspiracy out, but this is coming from the heart. Now I want to share something with you. And I won on the merits of the case, but in order to survive summary judgment, you need four elements. One, original authorship. I proved that through the valid copyright. Two, access. I proved in my book, I have a certificate from the Writers Guild to myself acknowledging that they had my script in their possession.
Okay.
Three, similarities. I had over 100 similarities in my script on the big screen and then in a copy of their script. How could you possibly know what's in my script? How could what I have in my script be in your script if you haven't studied my script? You guys had access to my work. I never had access to your work.
So
I
you
never
couldn't
made
steal from them.
in citizenship for what it's worth. That's all I'm saying. Those are the four elements to survive summary judgment. Why should have got a trial by jury? In the book, what happens to African Americans when they commit perjury? And I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but it's a hot female artist who went to jail for committing perjury in New York. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. But in my case, the defendants committed perjury. James Kern swore he copyrighted John Q in 93, but the copyright wasn't issued until 2000. That's perjury. The Judge Connelly in the district court said this, and I quote, when I asked the judge, I said, Your Honor, one of the prongs for me to succeed in my copyright case is for me to show that they had access to my script. It's right here in black and white. And you know what the judge said? With Mr. Tillman, they had access, but they didn't look at your script.
Wait a minute. What?
What
do you mean they didn't look at it?
So
but
that's
they
just like
got
saying that I have your book, but I ain't read it. You can't prove that I read it.
Right, even though you have
Even though I have it.
I'm looking at it with
But you can't prove that I read any of it.
I promise to God, and I don't swear to God, but I'm telling you what God
But-
loved. That's what I'm saying. The judge said, yeah, they had your script, but they didn't look at it because they had strict policies.
but there's
But the stories are similar.
over
But the stories are
100
similar.
similarities in mine and yours.
Okay, so they did like this.
They
Caught
just
one,
yeah.
caught another one.
Exactly.
And so they're saying they didn't read it.
Exactly.
They never read it, but
You got Kelly Conway.
you can
Listen to me. Let me just say this real
Wow.
quick.
They gave you
The
alternative
district
facts.
court is so egregious and erroneous. Do you know how difficult it was to maintain discipline in a court of law when I had 6 white judges in my case, 6, 3 in the district, then I had to file appeals in a court of appeals, and I had an oral argument as a non-attorney. My case had to be pretty strong to get an oral argument in front of the appellate judges.
when I did research,
Yes, ma'am.
when I Googled your name,
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to say I Googled your name because I
It's all
had to.
good. I know you gotta do your due
You know,
diligence.
I did I looked at your website,
Yep, yep.
but then I had to go and see what was the public
You got a fact check.
reaction of what was going on. And I actually seen one article where the guy said he was in court with you.
Mm.
And he was saying how he doesn't know, but he said, but it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And the guy was saying that people to look out, look into it.
Yep.
Because he said you were presenting such a strong case. He had no idea, but he believed you.
Yep.
Based off of the facts that you gave.
And I'm just a vessel because remember, I'm just a regular guy. God just gave me the extraordinary gift to follow his will, if you will, because I'm not a lawyer. I just studied the law and put it like this. You can't throw a liquid substance on me and say it's raining when I smell something different.
I know that story. I know that
You
cliche.
you cannot tell me water's not wet and I'm soaking in it.
Right.
And so it was difficult to maintain discipline because what they tried to do was throw me off my square court by throwing all this BS at me and this drama at me so that I could behave indignant, so they could toss it out on a technicality.
Right.
They can hold me in
They just
contempt,
kept trying to
and then I
push you
lose
and
my court.
push you.
Exactly. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys this. In this book, The No's of Men, The Yes of God, that you can find at www.therealjohnq.com.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Hey, you know, it's all good. Because I'm gonna tell you this. Did you guys know that in a court of law, as a plaintiff, my due process was violated because I never got an interrogatory answer? Now let me explain that to that. Let me explain what an interrogatory is for those that don't know. An interrogatory is if you and I are fighting over this bottle of water, and you say you invented this bottle of water, and I say no, I invented the bottle of water. It's sort of like that case in the Bible where those two women were fighting over that baby, and the prince was like, "Well, cut the baby in half," and the lady was like, "Well, let the baby go with her." That's the real mama. Well, I'm the real daddy of John Q. Because do you guys know that in court they gave us interrogatories? They gave me 10 questions and I answered them honestly and truthfully. Because when you tell the truth, you don't have to change it. When we submitted interrogatories to them, this is how they answered the question. James Kearns. I said, James Kearns, you say you copyright John Q in 1993, but your actual copyright through the U.S. Copyright Office was issued in 2000. He said, I don't understand the question. This is how he answered the question. I don't understand the question. I said, well, James Kearns, you swore you never worked for the Writers Guild, but why did they pay you? I don't understand the question. Let me guys just show you one thing real quick. On page 338 in my book, the copyright for John Q, it says copywritten, created in 2000. Let me read his sworn declaration in court at number 4 on page 339. He said, I registered the copyright in the John Q screenplay with the Writers Guild of America West on July 20th, 1993. But the copyright says it was created in 2000. Now, I've seen a movie where the guy hop in the time machine and go do his thing, but I didn't know that that was a real thing. So that's what I was up against. All of the defendants committed perjury. They changed their story. And the judge, and they never answered a question. And the judge even issued an order and said, Time Warner, New Line Cinema, and defendants, you guys are not answering the man's questions. I'm going to order you to answer the questions. So this is how they came back and answered the question. We asked one of the defendants, the Variety.com, which is a BS Hollywood magazine, where they look, the Writers Guild, this is my recommendation. Never submit anything to the Writers Guild, period, unless you're prepared to get it stolen. Never submit it to anyone in Hollywood unless you're prepared to get it stolen. Now, mind you, I was in my early 20s struggling with this situation. I didn't know anything about that side of it.
Right.
And so I'm warning people to be mindful of who you're dealing with. See, what they do with Black people and African Americans and other people of color, they soak and absorb our essence. It's something special about us where all of our swag, how does all of our swag end up in Hollywood and there are no people in Hollywood in our neighborhoods? They come, they steal our stuff, and they run back like it's something new.
So when you went through this whole process, the ordeal with them, from what I've read and what I've seen, it's that your lawyers kind of turned on you.
They did.
And they were making your fines high every time they were like, no, you're gonna have to pay the fees, the court fees and things like this. Like, it seems like they were trying to pressure you to give up by throwing dollar amounts and making them higher and higher that you got to pay. Like, look, if we make him have to owe us this much money, he gonna disappear. He gonna let it go.
Back down.
And it's like that's what they were trying to get you to do.
Look at this, y'all. Y'all not gonna believe this, but James Kearns swore he never worked for the Writers Guild. But in this book, I got every check that they ever wrote on. Matter of fact.
So how did you get
How did you get this access?
I mean, I just want to know, how do you get access to check stubs and
Well, the internet is
Let
something
me
else.
no, it's not the internet. I physically went to the office because I had a right to be there because my script was in your office. So I had the right to be there.
Okay.
But I'm gonna show you how God worked because God had people listen to me. I believe in the most high. I'm not a fan of religion or none of that. I believe in the connection between myself and the most high. The intuition that I have is what got me through it. Through the dark days when they listen to me. You guys don't know this, but I went and actually met with the producers. I actually had a meeting before I filed the case at Time Warner Studio in Chicago.
Okay.
They wanted to meet with me because part of my condition was you're gonna make this right. You're gonna give me a full credit and let me tell my story in my words. You're not the expert on me. I'm the expert on me.
And
You
this
don't get
was
to
your
tell my
story.
story. I'm gonna tell my story my way. That's a part of my condition. So the lawyer's going back and forth saying, well, you need counsel to come with you on camera to validate what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Why do I need somebody to talk to me? But go ahead.
there you go. No, no, I feel you. That's the game we playing. But at
Right.
the same time, I said number one, I don't need validation, and number two, one of the lawyers that I had at the time was trying to pressure me to take $500,000. Let's just say.
No.
I said, well, wait a minute. You looked at my Chicago address and said, oh, he from Chicago. Here, yeah, we'll talk about five
We gonna
hundred
give him a
thousand.
check out the hood,
We
and he'll
gonna
be okay.
we gonna throw him some. We gonna just talk numbers. Just the mere fact that you would insult my intelligence because I'm highly intelligent to say we'll give you 500,000 and you made 500 million. I don't think so. You should have came to me with the 500 piece at the beginning, and we would have probably had something to talk about it when I needed it.
Right.
But God does money. God gave me. Listen, you can't buy me with money, and God gave you the tree to make the money. So I'm gonna serve, or I'm gonna get my cues from the Most High. And at the time, it wasn't right for me to even think about taking that. So I said I went and met with them, myself and Town Warner executives, and it's in the book. We watched the movie John Q. We looked at my original script. Mind you, my original script was raw and it was rough, but it was mine.
Right.
And the fact that they had opportunities to edit it, re-edit it,
Make a movie out of it.
change it, make a movie,
Make it make sense and
Mhm.
and restructure it, and you still stay true to the essence of what I wrote. That car accident that y'all saw in the movie when the lady hit the truck, I lived that. How you think it got in the script? Because I wrote it. The part where the doctor said, well, take your child home to die because we did everything, I wrote that verbatim and they stole it. You know I wasn't finna G for that.
No.
In Chicago, we don't play that. Now, the media might want to only highlight the BS and the
right.
negativity, but I know a lot of strong black brothers.
They want to look at the
John,
background.
the executive producers here, you, Tree. I so don't sell me that narrative that African Americans are not getting it in. I'm not buying it. So now I'm gonna even tell you, look, I went and interviewed with Charles Thomas. It's in the book from Channel 7. I was in a studio because the Art of War, the book I read called The Art of War, is
Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu, you need to know what your enemy has on you so that you could prepare. So I went into the lion's den with the full knowledge and that awareness that I'm on they grounds, but I still need to know what I'm up against because I
Right.
don't know everything. Right. So we watching a movie, myself, Charles Thomas, and the producers, and they looking at my script, and I could see it in their face. They was like, damn.
Shocked.
It was like, oh, there go another one. Damn, there go another one. So now for an hour and a half, 2 hours, we watching the movie, going line by line, page by page. They're like, okay, yeah, you kind of
So,
got
but
us.
let me ask you,
Go ahead.
were they trying to insinuate that they knew nothing about what was going on?
Yes.
So they're saying that they trusted the writer
Yes.
in being truthful. So they
Yes.
only backed what he said.
Yes.
So he
Not
he
let me,
duped all of them,
but let me
everybody.
backtrack. But not only did he dupe them, they made him. They put him out front to take the heat so that they could collect the residuals. See, and that's the game. Put it like this. There's always a patsy. Look at Kennedy. Also was the patsy, but that was way bigger than that. And let me tell you what Hitler said. Hitler said if you take away the people's rights in incremental amounts, small amounts, minuscule amounts, that over time they will not realize that their rights have been violated and taken away. And by the time they do, it's too late.
Right.
Well, that's what's happening to us,
That's what your boy tried to do.
So they were just piecing you.
piece by piece.
Piece.
What they did was, okay, we're going to tell them that the copyright doesn't matter in this case, in this particular case. Okay, now we're going to tell them that, yeah, we had access to his script, but they didn't read it. And then, no, by the way, now we're going to tell them that the date on the copyright doesn't matter. And these articles trump the Copyright Office, which we know is not true, because now I could go back and say, okay, you gave me a 1993 article. Here go an article from 1992. Now,
Right.
do I now have prior creation?
Yep.
No. You actually have to prove through. Listen, I had a sworn declaration from my kid's doctor saying that, oh yeah, Mr. Tillman went through this. He did ask us about the insurance piece. I mean,
Right.
I got all of this in right, and they knew that. So they whole thing was, well, we just have to stop him at all costs. Now, do you know that in the district court, some of the clerks was trying to scare me and say, well, Mr. Tillman, because I want to file a complaint against the judge.
Right.
Well, if you do that, he'll come down hard on you. You mean harder than he already has?
Like, how can it get any worse?
How can it get any worse? I watched my kid go through this. So nothing y'all can do to me. And I'm going to show you how I beat him. Because God gave me this intuition. It's like, and this is something I learned from KRS-One and Professor Griff by studying their teachings, and part to my own research, that God, the connection between myself and God is internal. That's why when I go through pain and I can close my eyes, I can take the pain right now, but I can take my mind somewhere else.
Okay.
That's how I was able to beat him. That's how come when you stole my stuff and in court with a straight face, tell me BS, and then think I'm gonna believe it because you said it. No, I took myself to another place so that I could process it and deal with it. Because I don't know if you guys know, Mary Mitchell wrote op-ed piece a couple years ago about an inventor going downtown, going ham on some lawyers that stole his stuff.
Okay.
I went and did an interview with Mary Mitchell, showed her the script, had the actual film with me, and I'm thinking that she would be sympathetic to the plight of the African American. Why did one of the defendants pay her to do a speaking engagement? So now all of a sudden, on their behalf, now all of a sudden, when I try to call her, she hangs up or does this and that. And all I was saying was to Miss Mitchell at the Sun-Times, which is in the book, you don't owe me anything. Matter of fact, nobody owes me anything. If it's to be, it's up to me. Whether I sell one copy of this book to get my truth out or 1,000,000 copies, it's gonna be a bestseller. And so I never said anybody owes me anything. But the fact of the matter is, I'm a vessel, right? And so I have to, this is my purpose. And I had to come to the realization that sometimes my ideas might be bigger than some other people's small mindsets. Some people just can't handle what I have to offer. And so I had to come to that realization that it is what it is. I took this case to the Supreme Court for 3 years straight. Do you know how difficult that was? You know how many defendants it was that you have to serve? You got to make copies. You have to collate it. There's certain rules at the Supreme Court that you have to follow. Why wasn't that on the news? Because Time Warner and the big three, the conglomerate, they own the media. The school system is a monopoly. The media is a monopoly owned by a small handful of people who disseminate the information. That's why every time we turn on the news, it's a negative story about a black man. Because if it bleed, it lead. And they using us to sell product, to get to continue to perpetuate this narrative, this negative stereotype about the black man. So I had to be a man, a real man, and stand up in court for my own. I went to the Supreme Court, guys, for 3 years in a row. You know what the Chief Justice Clerk told me?
What's that?
His name is Eric Folsom, and it's in the book. And Eric, if you didn't want me to say anything, you shouldn't have tried to scare me. Now this guy is a clerk of the court, of the Supreme Court. And do you know he said, Mr. Tillman, now he's arguing with me Mr. Tillman, why don't you just give up? You're not gonna win anyway.
Wow.
Why are you fighting? Why are you still fighting? It doesn't matter.
He said this in court?
No. He said this while I was filing my briefs.
Wow.
And I have the stamp in my book to show that I actually filed it. Now I could not say that I could not say any of this if it wasn't true. Think about
The
it.
thing that gets me is that they actually tried to connect this event didn't happen in your life. And that
Yes.
just seems like that was the whole synopsis of it. It's like, we're going to prove that
This
this
didn't
man
happen.
did not go through this.
2 points for you.
Right.
Wow, that was impactful. Thank you. That was
But
impactful.
it's like they tried to steal your life. They just
Exactly.
wanted you to like blacken that whole part of your life out. Like, no, make you start second guessing yourself and saying, maybe it didn't happen.
How about that?
That wasn't
And it
that.
just seems like, and they will use that based off of the money. They got enough. They figured they had enough money to make you forget this happened. This never happened in your life. Come on now,
Yeah,
bro.
here's
You know
here's
that
a little
never
bit of
happened.
$500,000.
Look, let me share something with you guys real quick in my last 5 minutes. Uh, so James Kern swore that he submitted the writers. He submitted John Q to the Writers Guild in '93. Now, mind you, the Writers Guild is like a way to launder scripts. Like people launder money.
Yes.
That's the way to launder people's works. You guys don't realize. Ever since I've been on this mission, how many people reached out to me saying my work was stolen via the Writers Guild? That's the one common denominator that we all share. We
Okay.
all was dealing with the Writers Guild.
Just like old girl from that wrote the Matrix.
Miss Sophia
Right.
Stewart. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry.
I meant to
She
say,
wrote the foreword to my book.
dig that.
There it is.
Sure did. It's in the book, y'all. It's Miss Sophia Stewart.
And you can reach her at matrixterminator.com. But she's the mother in the Matrix, and one of my mentors, if you will. I think that we're equal, but again, I'm humble enough to learn from the ones who laid the foundation for this kind of work. It's a small handful of us who has took our cases thus far, and she won her case through the grace of God, and won. I don't want to say, but you
Right,
do
right.
your
She won
own
nice little
homework.
money,
But
yeah.
she in a good place,
Right.
and so she and I communicate off and on a couple times a month or whatever. But anyway, the point is, he swore that he submitted John Q to the Writers Guild in 1993. But right here, it says 12/2000. It was submitted to the Writers Guild. So somebody lying.
So let me ask you. He said that he did the copyright. He got the copyright in 1993. When did the incident happen
In
your life?
1998.
So he knew 5 years before it happened that this was going to happen. And it just so happened. So they're saying that your story, your life, mimicked his script.
Right.
So he
Verbatim.
saw that this was going to happen to you, is basically
Right. Now
what
he's
they're
psychic.
putting out there. Like, okay, I'm going to write this story, but I know in some years this is really going to happen to somebody. But the movie didn't release for almost 10 years after you said you wrote the original copyright.
And what's funny is, in that kind of industry, movies do get sidelined and backtracked and backburned for that long.
But there will be proof of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, people know already.
You're going deep. now, let me go deep. Let me go a little bit deep on James Kearns right quick. So now James Kearns swore that he never worked for the Writers Guild. I got it in black and white. So then this James Kearns I'm talking about is not the same James Kearns from the script, because from the case, because he said, I never worked for the Writers Guild. So I could not have possibly seen Mr. Tillman's script, even though my script was at 7000 West 3rd in California, the same place he worked for, the same place that issued these checks. So since James Kearns, this is not you, and it's another James Kearns, then I could just get your information out. So his social security number is 030348510.
Well, how you get on?
Hold on. 030348510, since it's a different James Kearns. And so they paid him check. Let me give you the check number.
Man, you got a lot of information.
Check number 3015704. Issued 2/27/2003 for $96,708.83. And it posted, and it cleared the bank, and it posted 05. No, it posted 2/27 3703. Check number 301574. And since it's not the same James Kearns, then don't worry about it.
Right, it
So
has
he's
nothing to do with the
saying
case.
that there was a J, but he's saying it wasn't him.
Right. Well, no, he's saying it's him, but since he lied in court and said it wasn't him, then I'm
But
just
that's what I'm saying. In court, he's saying
Exactly.
you got the wrong James. That's
basically is what he's saying.
okay.
Now,
So
So what is he doing there in court if it's the wrong James Kearns?
look, let me ask you guys a
If it's
question.
not you, we need to go get that dude.
Hey, but here goes something even better than that.
Wow.
So now let me put a bow around this. So because I beat them on the merits of the case, I had original. Oh, and I didn't tell you this in my book, The Nose of Men and Yes of God at www.therealjohnq.com. You can actually see my actual original copyright. Now I'm gonna take a poll in here. How did you, if you hear the title John Q, how would you know, Denzel? How would you know it was about a hard situation?
before the heart.
Before, just like if I just throw the title John Q, how would you know it was about a hard situation?
Oh, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't. That's my
Right.
point.
Right,
Because
you would know.
the title
It doesn't
say,
resonate.
Right. The title doesn't. So it doesn't say anything about hospitals or
There you go.
anything like that.
But guess what
Just like
the
Malcolm X.
Right. No trailer.
but guess what the original title of my script was?
What?
It was KHOG, Charisma Heart of Gold. So now if you
KHOG.
say Heart of Gold in my script, you would think
Right.
it was about a what?
A heart. Yeah.
But now the only way you would associate John Q as a heart situation is because of Denzel Washington's star power.
Right.
And I'm the one that chose him for that part. You follow me? And so now watch this. So remember the elements to survive summary judgment: original ownership of the copyright. Now let me tell you what I wrote on my copyright. This feature film is about about a black family with a heart situation with no warning and no insurance. Was that not what John Q was about?
Of course.
I wrote that verbatim on my copyright. So they had to try to
Yeah.
jam me up. And then they had access to it through the Writers Guild, which I'm a member and I have a certificate proving that. So the judge says, well, they had your script but didn't look at it.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
I just told you two similarities in the script. And I'm a citizen, and that's all I needed to prove my
Okay.
case.
So at the end of the day, are you still fighting the case, or is the case over?
Now, technically, the case is in limbo because, oh, I didn't tell you the best part. Do you guys know that the Chief Justice rules 99.9% of the case for corporate America? So how does the little guy have a shot?
Right.
This is what he decided. Because believe me, for these 3 years, I was petitioning Clarence Thomas and Ginsburg. I was petitioning every Supreme Court justice to hear my case. Some justices, I've been told, would have been partial to my situation, but the Chief Justice said, we're not going to hear your case at this time. So I'm not going to even make a ruling on it. That's one of them WTF moments.
Right.
If I was on the internet, I would have typed WTF and put an apostrophe behind that. What you mean you're not going to hear my case?
So
Right.
you're still currently.
So right now, that's where they left it off. The defendants never answered a single question. They never gave me an original document.
So you don't even have another court date.
No, we done as far as that's concerned. I got to bring it back to court. But now let me show you something else.
Yeah, I'll be there right now.
But watch this. And I got to get my money game strong
I
because
hear
this
you.
is a
Right.
money game. But watch this. Do you guys know that now James Kearns said, oh, by the way, I never copyrighted John Q. New Line Cinema Secretary copyrighted for us. I said,
Wait a minute.
So now he ain't got no
Had nothing to
positive
do with it.
anymore.
but listen,
After all this, I did it.
At the end of the
but then,
case-
no, I didn't do it.
when they made sure that they tried to break me down without counsel, I had counsel for 2 years. They got my counsel off the case. I filed a petition for a judge because I did not want to represent myself. And you know what the judge said? Well, Mr. Tillman, you did your homework, and you do need a lawyer.
I'm
And
gonna put a butt.
I'm gonna give you a lawyer when you go to trial. You don't need a lawyer right now. You can handle it.
Wait a minute.
Are you kidding me?
What do you mean I don't need a lawyer now? I need a
So-
lawyer.
I said,
before
John, they got lawyers. I said this in court. I said, John, they have lawyers with the money that I made the way for them to pay for those lawyers. Well, they paying for their attorney. So do you guys know that in court, I told the judge, I said, Your Honor, you're not gonna treat me like a nigga. Excuse my French. But I said, Your Honor, because that's the word they made up. And it's not endearing. It's not endearing.
Not at all.
Unless you saying nigga, never ignorant, getting the goals accomplished, like Pac said. Okay, but I told the judge in court, I said, Your Honor, I'm not a nigga. Y'all not gonna treat me like one. I'm a strong black man coming to the court respectfully. And then he on the side, when you read the court transcripts, he slid in, I read all of your motions, and he hyphenated the all, because you know what I put this in writing. You're not gonna treat me like a nigga. I put it in writing. It's in the court record. His way of addressing it was, I'll get to it later. He had to acknowledge that I put it in my motion.
Mm-hmm.
His response was, well, I'll get to that part later. I know you are, because guess what? One of the judges in the case said, well, Mr. Tillman, you're right. They haven't answered any questions, and I'm gonna give you subpoena power to bring them to force them to answer. The other judge said, I don't care what the other judge said. This is what I'm saying, and if you don't like it, go to the Court of Appeals.
That sounds like a dictatorship.
So they just want to bounce you around.
They was bouncing.
So they're still hoping that you give up.
Exactly.
They're still hoping. So when you wrote this book,
yes, ma'am,
you didn't send it to the Writers Guild.
Hell no, with a capital H. That's why.
Make it out of a stage play, then they have no choice. Turn it into a stage play.
That's why. And I'm not taking credit again. But God gave me the vision to be self-sufficient. You know, I was online recently and, trying to drum up support for my book project.
Okay.
And I believe that if we're friends, like you and I are always friends,
mm-hmm. Yes.
Social media, and then me and John, I didn't even know this man was here until today. But we go back 15, 20 years.
At least.
Now, let me show how small the world is. And so my point is, social media is not keeping us connected. It's just a vehicle in which we can stay connected and chop it up in politics. But I'm on here strictly to promote this book and to get the word out. Because if we're friends
right.
forever.
Right.
How could Facebook change that? I don't need Facebook to tell me who my friends are. You liking my page and you say you love what I'm doing, spend some money with me. Go to my website, www.therealjohnq.com, and see if I'm telling the truth. You can actually hear the court.
Right, I was gonna say on the website.
On my website,
actually, he has actual footage.
Oh, from the court.
Yes.
From the court, the original, original audio.
So y'all need to go check out this website, man.
And look, it's a case called Fights versus Rule. And in that case, in that court case in 1991, I believe, it specifically said that that originality is the cornerstone of copyright protection. So if originality is the cornerstone of copyright protection, the foundation of protection, and I solidified that foundation, then my rights should be protected. The judge acknowledged that I know the law. You can't violate the law and my rights and then not expect me not to recognize it.
Right.
Who you think you're dealing with?
Right.
So if you want to support the project, please do. I want to thank you guys for bringing me on the show.
Man, for real.
Thank you for coming in, telling your story. It's quite interesting. Anybody watching, get the
And I
book.
want to say hello to my wife, Danielle, and the kids. Love y'all.
Thanks for tuning in. This is the Off the Wall Show on Intellectual Radio. See
We
you
had a
next
good time today, y'all.
Didn't know I had faith. Waiting for the love I've been looking for. I guess there's nothing left to say.